Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of KROP's Community Corner. I'm your host, Chris Goodspeed, and with us today is a local author of the book Almost 11, the story of the murder of 10-year-old Brenda Sue Sayers that took place in 1965 right here in Brawley, California. That man is Harrell Glenn... Is it Crowson?
Crowson.
Harrell Glenn Crowson. Mr. Crowson is back in the Valley to promote his new book. Mr. Crowson, why don't you talk a little bit about your history here in the Valley and what gave you the idea to write this story about the tragic murder of Brenda Sue Sayers back in 1965?
When I was a junior at Brawley High School in 1965, a 10-year-old girl named Brenda Sue Sayers was kidnapped, murdered, and found dumped in a irrigation standpipe in Mecca. Well, this was a big crime then. The newspapers, the radio stations, everybody was infatuated with this crime because it was the biggest crime to ever hit Brawley. Everybody talked about where the little girl could be. Everybody in town went out searching for this little girl. And when I retired 2 years ago, it was still on my mind. I still thought about it. So I did some research, and I knew I was going to write some books about large crimes in small towns. So I started with this. I'm a Brawley boy. I was born and raised here. I worked for the city of Brawley for many years. I was the Parks and Recreation Director for a while. And my roots are still here, and of course my memories of this crime were still here.
Now, you mentioned that the crime took place back in 1965 while you were a junior in high school. Was this something that you kind of researched when it was happening, or did you still have, like, some of the old newspaper clippings from when the crime took place, or did you have to do a lot of the research over again once you decided to write the book?
I had to do a lot of the research. Now, between that time and now, in 1969, I was a police officer in the city of Brawley. So we did, at that time, I talked to a lot of the veteran officers that were on the case and saw a couple of the case files. But I really didn't have a chance to get into the details of it till I started doing research for the book 2 years ago. It's taken me 2 years to write the book, and what we did was not only provided the details of the crime and the people involved, but we added to the book a kind of almanac status of the city of Brawley during that time, the downtown area, what the conditions were, who were the people running the town, and what it was like to be living in Brawley in 1965.
Wow, so not only does this book detail some interesting facts about a very interesting crime that took place in Brawley's history, but it also gives the reader a retrospective look back at what it was like to live in Brawley during the mid-1960s and kind of serves as a backdrop for the story that you're bringing forth to us. Now, I know this was a big crime back in the 1960s. Did it ever get solved? Was there ever...
It did, and due to a couple of interesting things. One, they went 3 days and didn't have a clue. They had some kids that saw an adult man hanging around the school, but they never could get a composite description of him. And one of the things that broke the case open was a police officer with the Los Angeles Police Department was asked if he would voluntarily come down to Brawley and do a sketch. He met with a little 10-year-old girl, and she gave him her description of the man she saw. The LAPD sketch artist, his name was Hector Garcia, drew the sketch, and it went on the front page of the Brawley News the next day and triggered a response from somebody who knew this person and knew that this person was in town and knew pretty much where this person would be. And the police work done by the Imperial County Sheriffs, Brawley PD, and the Riverside County Sheriffs were heavily involved in this because, remember, she was found up in Mecca in Riverside County. So then they went searching for him, and then do just some good police work. They found him eventually back in Indiana, and at that time, that's where he was arrested by the FBI.
Well, we don't want to give too much away. The book is called Almost 11. It is the story of a 10-year-old girl that was abducted and murdered here in Brawley, California, back in 1965, written by our own Harrell Glenn Crowson. And it is on sale now, is that correct?
It's on sale now. You can pick that up at the regular places like Amazon.com. It's on Kindle if you're into ebooks. You can go to Friesen, Friesen, press.com. That's the publisher, and you can get it at kind of reduced rate. I believe next week it's going to be available at the bookstore in El Centro, Fifth Avenue bookstore.
Excellent. All right. Well, again, that's Almost 11, The Murder of Brenda Sue Sayers. On sale now, Amazon.com, Kindle.com, FriesenPress.com, or you can get it at the Fifth Avenue bookstore coming up here in El Centro. Mr. Crowson, we thank you for your time, and we wish you luck in your future endeavors, and we hope to see many more novels donning your name in the future.
Yeah, it was good to be back in Brawley.
Okay, again, the book is Almost 11. For more information about the book, you can go to the website at www.almost11thebook.com, 11 spelt out, E-L-E-V-E-N. You can check out Glenn's Facebook page under Glenn Crowson, or you can contact him directly at glenn@crowsonmanagement.com or by calling 760-329-8848. This has been another Community Corner brought to you by KROP AM 1300, the Valley's #1 source for community news.